like different questions because I just
I did that part because I was spokesperson one.
Yeah, I think this is
exam, and I thought that it was just one person.
it's just based on kind of what you read. So the questions, I'm just going to go off of what I hear from your arguments for my cross-examination.
Okay.
That's a good
That
idea.
makes sense.
Yeah, because I think, Kelsey, you're just going over like the arguments and the conclusion, I think, is just like wrapping it up and everything.
All right.
For our article.
So,
yeah.
Megan, do you want to go first or do you want me to?
I think you're supposed to go first. That's just what it says in the thing.
Okay.
Humanist first and then religionist.
All right, fair enough. I will go. Okay, so Whitney, it's going to look like I hung up on you, but you'll still be able to hear me. But I got to look at my...
Oh, good. I'm right here.
All right, fair enough. Okay. As spokesperson for humanists, we believe that religion in its traditional form is outdated. In addition to being outdated, is harmful to the framework of the new society which is emerging. We agree that while traditional religion did a sufficient job of teaching morals and values in the past, the need for that is no longer there. In addition, we believe that those who follow traditional religion patterns are more dependent and also less inclined to reach their full potential. We as humanists wish to all people, wish for all kinds of people to reach their potential and to do it by believing in themselves and not some further celestial being. We further believe that all truth can be found through science and further technology, and plan to develop these methods to the best of our ability in the future. Finally, we have seen how terrible the world can become when not governed by social values and morals. We believe this cannot be accomplished if we do not show compassion to one another and tolerance. We believe through this new line of thinking and believing we can progress further and become even better in every way. So that is...
So mine, are we just going to talk about his article?
Okay.
Like for the opening statement?
Yeah, go for it.
So, because I wanted to like talk about it in a way that's not like going over all the arguments necessarily. So anyway, so I just thought it was really powerful that Elder Oaks discussed religious freedom in a way that applies to everyone. Because he didn't just limit it to members of a specific religion, but he sort of talked about it in a way that applies to everyone and that everyone could relate to it. I think one of the most important points he brought up about religious freedom is that it is one of the foundations of our country. It was literally like the driving force that brought people to our country to develop a new system of government. And then where everyone was free to choose how they wanted to believe and how they wanted to worship, and how they wanted to express their beliefs and share them with others and teach people. Not to take too much from the arguments, but just to present the idea that he talks about how those who want to share their ideas are being silenced by people who want the same right to express their thoughts and ideas. So those who want to legalize issues like gay marriage or abortion, for example, become offended when people who are against those things try to take a stand by supporting their personal beliefs and faith. It's gotten to the point where you can't share how you feel about a certain problem without somebody getting offended. A jerk. And even though they want to leave out the issue of morality out of all these discussions and everything, they tell other people that they're being immoral by being closed off when they're pretty much just doing the same exact thing. And then the last point that I really loved about Elder Oaks was that he said how people are trying to justify any system of idea or personal opinion about something as being the same thing as a religious belief. So the government system of religious freedom should allow every religion to worship and believe how they choose, but also like has enough power and authority to not allow any practices that are harmful to others. So now we'll do the argument portion of it.
Sorry, we're not muted anymore. Now you can.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
So I can talk about the arguments for the Humanist Manifesto. It might take a while because there's quite a few, but our first argument is that regard the universe as self-existing and not created. We also believe that man is a part of nature and that he has emerged as a result of a continuous process. such as like evolution. We hold an organic view of life, and that we find the traditional dualism of mind and body that it's not right, that needs to be rejected, that idealism. We also recognize that man's religious culture and civilization, as depicted by anthropology and history, are the product of a gradual development due to his interaction with his natural environment and with his social heritage. This individual born into a particular culture is largely molded by that culture. We also assert that the nature of the universe depicted by modern science makes unacceptable any supernatural or cosmic guarantees of human values. We do not deny the possibility of realities as yet undiscovered, but it does insist that the way to determine the existence and value of any and all realities is by means of intelligent inquiry and by the assessment of their relations to human needs. Religion must formulate its hopes and plans in the light of the scientific spirit and method. We are very convinced that the time has passed for theism, deism, modernism, and the several varieties of new thought. Religion consists of those actions, purposes, and experiences which are humanly significant. Nothing human is alien to the religious. It includes labor, art, science, philosophy, love, friendship, recreation, and that all that is in its degree expressive of intelligently satisfying human living. The distinction between the sacred and the secular can no longer be maintained. Religious humanism is kind of different, but it considers the complete realization of human personality to be the end of man's life and seeks its development and fulfillment in the here and now. We also believe that in the place of old attitudes involved in worship and prayer, the humanist finds his religious emotions expressed in a heightened sense of personal life and in a cooperative effort to promote social well-being. We also believe that there will be no uniquely religious emotions and attitudes of the kind hitherto associated with belief in the supernatural. We believe that man will learn to face the crisis of life in terms of his knowledge of their naturalness and probability. Reasonable and manly attitudes will be fostered by education and supported by custom. We assume that humanism will take the path of social and mental hygiene and discourage sentimental and unreal hopes and wishful thinking. We believe that religion must work increasingly for joy in living. Religious humanists aim to foster the creative in man and to encourage achievements that add to the satisfactions of life. 3 more, okay. Religious humanism maintains that all associations and institutions exist for the fulfillment of human life. The intelligent evaluation, transformation, control, and direction of such associations or institutions with a view to the enhancement of human life is the purpose and program of humanism. Certainly, religious institutions, their ritualistic forms, ecclesiastical methods, and communal activities must be reconstituted as rapidly as experience allows in order to function effectively in the modern world. We firmly are convinced that existing inquisitive and profit-motivated society has shown itself to be inadequate and that a radical change in methods, controls, and motives must be instituted. A socialized and cooperative economic order must be established to the end that the equitable distribution of the means of life is possible. Our goal is to have a free and universal society in which people voluntarily and intelligently cooperate for the common good. We demand a shared life in a shared world. And finally, we affirm life rather than deny it. We seek to elicit the possibilities of life and to endeavor to establish the conditions of a satisfactory life for all. So that's our many arguments.
Those are a lot.
Nice.
So am I supposed to respond to those arguments, or I'm not exactly totally sure.
Go over the arguments that were in Elder Oak's talk.
Yeah, first you go over those, and then when we cross-examine, you get to attack our arguments. Or make
Okay, well, Elder Oaks' speech was about, it wasn't really about, it was about religious freedom, not just I don't know. It seemed like the Humanist Manifesto was over more than that. But I'll just say some arguments from his talk. So one of the big things from this article is that basic human rights pursuit of happiness are rooted in Judeo-Christian principles and beliefs that have been passed down for thousands and thousands of years. One of our great fundamental inspirations for our own Constitution, relied on by the Oyen of Mongolia, and countless others who struggled for freedom in many countries in the world. That people are the source of governmental power. The government is created for and by the people. And that has been that way for over 200 years. And truly, there are more religious people in America than there are people. God is the ultimate source of power, and that under him, its people inherit right to decide their form of government. Sovereign power is not inherent in a state or nation just because its leaders have the power that comes from force of arms. So the government is not who gives us rights, but it's the people who naturally have those God-given rights, and it's up to the government to protect those rights. We receive our rights from God, not from government. For the right and protection of all flesh, the United States Constitution includes its First Amendment, which guarantees the free exercise of religion and free speech and press. Without these great fundamentals of the Constitution, America could not have served as the host nation for the restoration of the gospel. And the free exercise of religion, free speech, and press are the basic rights that all other rights kind of spring from. The First Amendment says that Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. An establishment of religion was intended to separate churches and government, and to prevent a national church from happening in America. The free exercise of religion obviously involves both the right to choose religious beliefs, affiliations, and the right to the right to exercise or practice those beliefs. The right of some to act upon their religious principles must be qualified by the government's responsibility to protect the health and safety of all. By protecting religious freedom, we protect health and safety of all. So that's kind of it.
Good job.
That's quite a lot. I think that's good.
It was good.
You covered it really well.
So I think, if I read this correctly, we're now in round 3, where I will engage in cross-examination. And I guess either you, Kelsey, or you, Megan, can answer. It doesn't really say who, so I guess whoever has the better.
Oh, yeah, so I guess.
So
are we just the ones to like ask the questions?
I
And then everyone talks about it?
So I will ask you questions first pertaining to your arguments. Cross-examination isn't
Right.
necessarily friendly. It's meant to kind of attack, but civilly attack.
Let's do it. We can be mean to each other.
All right, bring. And then after
We're not friends.
just respond, we'll switch, and you get to ask us attacking questions, and we respond. And as far as I can tell, we can both respond. It doesn't really say that it's one-on-one, so apparently it's one.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, so the first thing that you bring up is you religion people say that God is the source of all power. And what I want to ask you is, how does that pertain to people who don't believe in God, and even who have become successful without the help of God because they don't believe in him?
I don't think.
Well, okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
You want me to go? Okay. So, well, not even that far ago, but maybe 400 during the, what was it? Not the Reformation, like Leonardo da Vinci and like, what is that called? Mind is going blank.
Oh,
what
the
is
Renaissance?
the Renaissance? Yes. People did not believe that the sun was the center of the solar system, and that we gravitated around the sun. They believed that planets revolved around Earth was the center of gravity and the center of everything. Just because some people don't believe in deity or a certain principle doesn't necessarily mean that it's not involved in their life or that it doesn't exist. Belief is not necessarily what makes God exist. It's he's in everything, regardless of whether we believe or not.
Here, I'll add on to that too. So I think that even though every religion has their own way of believing, because even though not everyone believes in God, they still have a different type of way, a different way of believing, which I did like how you put it, Kelsey. But I think the major thing is that we don't take that away from people. Like, they can believe in God, but they don't necessarily have to enforce that among other people. So they can have their way of believing, and everyone like believes that their religion is true, but it's not necessarily something that everyone has to adapt into their own lives, if that makes sense.
Okay, so my next question is, a lot of your arguments were founded upon the fact that religion and a belief in God has been very substantial and helpful in the past. And we say in our manifesto that we believe that. But we don't see a need for it anymore. Technology and science has advanced us much more than religion has in the current society. What do you have to say about that?
I would personally argue that our society is really not getting better. In fact, I would argue that it's getting worse. In fact, there was a survey done in California about teenagers, and most of them find it immoral to litter, but do not find it immoral to look at pornography, even though the woman who is being portrayed in pornography could possibly be forced to do so, or in human trafficking. They find littering more offensive. And clearly, violating the rights of someone else in that way is more wrong than littering.
Anything to
And then something else I was just gonna say. Could you repeat the question again real fast?
Yeah, so I was just saying that the Humanist Manifesto agrees with your assertion that in the past, religion has been very helpful.
Oh, right. Okay, I remember now. Thank you. I think that there's been so much change within the past, like 100 years or so, that is trying to deviate how things have been for years. Like, religion has been around for so long, and now that they're trying to take it away, I don't know. There's just been so many people who have said that you need to think twice before changing things so drastically, because it will have big effects that we can't see right now, because I feel like everything that we take away is just going to make it really unstable.
Okay. All right, Megan and Kelsey, we turn the time over to you. You may ask our questions, and Whitney and I either will both respond or one of us will. I don't know. Just kind of go.
Okay, sounds good. One of the questions I thought of, so Whitney brought it up in one of her arguments, and I'm seeing it in the manifesto right now too, where it says, we assume that humanism will take the path of social and mental hygiene and discourage sentimental and unreal hopes and wishful thinking. So like throughout the whole article, it really promotes like thinking about things systematically and scientifically, but is there anything really harmful or dangerous about thinking about things in a hopeful or wishful way? Like, what's so wrong about being optimistic?
Well, I think I can answer this real quick, but I think there's a difference between like being optimistic and having wishful thinking, because I think a lot of people can get their hopes up, and when it doesn't happen, what they want, then like a lot of people think that people believe in God just because they want to, not because they actually believe in Him, but because it makes them feel better, or like that as the humanists, we believe that man's personality ends when he dies, and that's it. And we think that people who believe in like a next life or a life after this, it's just them wanting to feel better.
And I would add to that and just say, a lot of times people who have those hopes, like you'll hear about a lot of people who believe in religion or believe in God, and they believe that God has the power to heal their cancer cancer or bring their sick child peace and comfort. And we find that these things, they don't tend to happen very often. And when they do, they're just, science sometimes has these mysteries that we can't explain, but it's not often enough that it promotes that belief, and it can actually bring a lot of depression and dependence is the big thing. What our manifesto states a lot is we don't want people to become dependent upon that belief.
Right. Yeah, I really like that. And I think it's important to realize that, like, it's great to be optimistic, but that doesn't get things done. It doesn't solve problems. That's not all the time.
Did you guys have anything else?
I have a question.
Okay,
Or should I?
go for it. Now.
So the 14th, I guess it's argument, talks about how that an existing acquisitive and profit-motivated society has shown itself to be inadequate for a socialized and cooperative economic order, and the humanists demand a shared life and a shared world. How does that work when there are so many who think only of themselves and want to take from others? How can you have a shared society if everyone else is not on the same page?
I have something to say if you.
You can go.
Okay.
I'm thinking on that one.
So I'm just going to rephrase your question because I was slightly distracted, my dog. Is what you're asking, how can we bring together a shared society if we have so many different beliefs? Or we have
Believe there are so many people who naturally, if all of us just took everything that we needed and nothing more, that's not right because we're not perfect. No human being is altruistic.
Okay, I think I get what you're saying. So yeah, so I would have two things to say about that. So the first thing is that we do mention later on in our manifesto that when people strive for only their individual desires, we have seen that does cause problems, which is why we really emphasize compassion. However, along with that, we do believe that it is a good thing for people to express their individual desires because it helps us become more diversified, it helps technology further, it helps science further. All these things continue more and more as we search for these individual things, and we can bring them together even though they're individual, but we want to encompass that with the compassion element that we propose later on in the manifesto.
But what's the motivation for compassion?
The motivation?
In that case. Mm-hmm.
I think part of the motivation comes from just like how we all share the same world, and I think like as humanists we like have such a strong opinion that we're kind of like all in this together, and that we have a shared life, so we have to like look out for each other.
And you guys kind of just touched up on the last question that I was going to share, so.
Okay. All right, so spokesperson 2, we will provide closing statements, and then we do wrap up, which is not part of the debate, by the way. We can speak briefly.
Okay, so I guess I'll go. So for the closing statement for the Humanist Manifesto, I decided to say that the future of humankind will be most successful if practicing humanism. Religions or religious ideologies need to be transcended, and we can only survive if we all believe in the same thing and share common and humane values.
Cool. So I guess I'll start with my closing arguments. So religious beliefs and ideas have been around for thousands and thousands of years. They are the reason our societies have become more civilized. They're the reason for inspiration, motivation, and they give drive for compassion and charity and volunteer work. People like Mother Teresa and even our Constitution would not be around if there were not religious individuals who believed in something bigger than themselves. And it wasn't just a shared idea or a shared thought or even a shared life. It was something something bigger than themselves, something all-powerful, something all-knowing that could make life better. And I think we need to be careful before we decide that that's old-fashioned or uneducated to believe in something bigger. And because when bad things happen to us, yes, sharing it with other people may help us, but believing in something bigger and greater than ourselves gives us purpose and perspective.
All right. So now the debate is officially over. I just want to disclaim, I don't believe any of that. I'm giving a really rough side.
Oh, come on, Lexi.
Oh, you sold it.
We know how it is.
When Whitney and I got together last night, we were like, oh, we really drove the short end of the stick here. We're going up against Elder Oaks.
Well, in like the shared life, I don't understand how people because there are lots of people in this world who are just not naturally out. They're only out for themselves.
It's true.
And they only care
Yeah,
about themselves, and they will hurt everyone in their path.
And it's hard to not do it, even with the motivation that we have. Like, I can't imagine not having that.
Yeah, I was mostly just trying to think with them. And I mean some of what they say does make sense. But one of the biggest problems that I had, oh wait, before I go into this, there's stuff we're actually supposed to discuss.
Oh yeah, we should probably talk about that.
Do you think the authors of your article were taking the moral high ground or making a moral statement? Why or why not? I guess I'll just say, as far as like the moral high ground, I don't know, like that has a bad connotation now because people are like, oh, you're just taking the moral high ground. But I mean, as we've seen in this argument, the moral high ground is super important. It's what makes us loving and compassionate people who care about what happens in the world. So I would say that yes, the religionist was from a moral high ground point. I would say that for me, the Humanist Manifesto was not, because they're not concerned about morals, they're concerned about progression. So those are my.
I think it was hard, I looked at this question and it was hard to figure out which one it would be, because Elder Oaks is making a moral statement, but he's also like purposefully trying to have the moral high ground.
Right.
I feel like it's just how you look
having
at
the
it,
moral
because
high
of course
ground.
but not everyone sees it that way.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to put a finger on it.
Yeah, but I almost view moral high ground as being well, we are moral and you're not. You know,
and he didn't really do that.
Elder Oaks was like that, yeah.
That's a good point.
But the Humanist Manifesto tore apart religion and religious ideology. I mean, even the fact that people are hopeful, it's just
that part I was
that's
seriously?
what I was gonna say. One of the things that really bugged me about the Humanist Manifesto was that they're like, we want to be tolerant, we want to accept, unless you believe in religion, and then we're out. I was like, seriously.
And people really think this way. Yeah. People really, and people in real life think this way, that, oh, I'm not racist and I'm tolerant, except for if you believe in not if you're pro-life, or if or even if you voted for someone
for real.
If you voted for someone that they don't agree with, you're a racist, and it's just silly.
Do you guys think that morality can exist without religion?
No.
At the next question, I didn't even look.
I don't really think it can.
I don't think it would have originated without it. Now that we do have it and it's been established, it's here.
Yeah.
But without it, it would have never happened.
Well, and
that's
if you,
how I feel. Religion started it, but maybe it could be possible that it can continue, because there are a lot of moral people that are atheists,
Yeah, but also
start off somewhere.
A lot of the new policies that come out, and a lot of the new things that people are fighting about, like you mentioned, Kelsey, pro-life and pro-choice. One of the things that is interesting is people who are bashing on religion. They're the ones who are saying, well, these used to be morals, but that's not how we think anymore. Like, that's what the progression mindset is about, saying, well, this is kind of an outdated way of thinking, so we need to change it. So I think when the morals become outdated, then yeah, morals can't exist without religion, because that's what keeps it stable, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, and with evolution, I mean, even in the evolution process, what came before makes a huge part of what is now. And if you reject what came before, what do you have? You know, like, you just can't separate it, I don't think, because I don't know, you're like, without religion, you're like cavemen, and I think we're slowly getting that way again. You know what I mean? Like, I think not having religion is destroying all compassion and charity.
Yeah. I do think, though, like, there are some crazy religions that are, like, bad. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Scientology, you know, like what Tom Cruise believes in about, like, just crazy, bizarre stuff. And, like, well, even, like, terrorists, like, people from Iraq and stuff, they're like, well, like, the reason that, like, they were saying how, like, the reason they bombed, like, because 9/11 happened was because they believed that they were doing it for God. Like, but that's, like, seriously, what kind of God do you believe in that, like, tells you to, like, kill all these people and just, you know, for no reason? So obviously, like, I think it depends on the religion, but majority of religions are good.
Yeah, yeah.
I would also just like to state for the record, Kelsey, that when I was making my argument about how life is better now, and you were like, I don't think life is better, in my mind I was like, I agree, but in my I'm a humanist, never mind, I don't agree. I wanted to.
Hold it though, you did a good
Yes, I feel you, sister. It's terrible.
Yeah. I just think it's more difficult. I mean, everything is like on the rise, like abuse, like domestic violence is on the rise, you know, human trafficking is on the rise, terrorism is on the rise, like everything is like just getting worse, and I don't know.
Well, and I think they can solve it by doing the wrong things and making it even worse. And it's pretty fun. Like, the whole time I was preparing for this, I'm like, holy crap, everything's just so messed up.
I know. I'm kind of glad we got religion. Sorry, guys.
I know.
It's really hard to do humanism.
Fine, Whitney and I knew we were going to lose this debate from the beginning. I'm pretty sure that the
I
reason.
wanted to lose this debate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like the reason we had this debate is so that Sister Lake could be like, see, religion, it's important. You just debate it. What now?
There you go.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's super. All right, guys, it's 9 o'clock.
All right. Thank you.
I will post the video. No problem.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.